Welcome to the Man Cave Podcast with Dan Casper.
Quarter-century teams, Brandon. Quarter-century teams. That's what we're going to be talking about right now. Last week, we gave us a homework assignment. Each of us a homework assignment. Well, first of all, how you doing, man? Okay, you typed that out, and you went deep.
It's always easier for me to type things out because even though I can generally read my chicken scratch, I always can't.
Did you put stats on that thing too, bro?
Well, I need reasons for my picks. I mean, I don't have to necessarily deep dive, but it's nice to know I have this stuff in front of me.
Wow. Well, good for you, man. And you got 2 pages. You stapled them. Nice work. You're the kid in school that does that, and this is what I did. I wrote it down, but
you're jumping to a conclusion there. I'll just quote Superbad and say I'm a single mother. I wash and dry.
Jeez. So everybody's doing quarter-century teams right now. Why? Because it's kind of July.
It's the dead content period.
It is, and it's the last 25 years. So Brewers is going to be Brandon's role. I did the Packers one. Nobody did Bucks, but I think you and I could probably tag team that one pretty easily, right? I mean, Giannis,
what?
Ray Allen,
Ray
Allen, right?
I suppose, but I mean, I figure Ray Allen wasn't there that long into the 2000s,
right? That's true. Or do you go Michael Redd? Probably,
definitely Michael Redd.
Yeah, Giannis, Michael Redd.
I would say Middleton,
Brooke Lopez.
I would be very tempted to put Brooke Lopez on there.
Yeah,
and then your fifth. I mean.
Drew Holiday?
I don't know. I'd have to look a little bit more into the early 2000s. I mean,
yeah, I feel like we're missing somebody in there. Brandon Jennings?
That was a name that stuck out, potentially Brandon Jennings.
Yeah. So, all right, we just did the Bucks one.
There we go.
That was easy. So, do we just want to do one team each? Probably that'd be the easiest,
yeah, instead
right?
of going back and forth, so it's not confusing, we can kind of segment this out.
Right. So, I don't know how you did it, but for me, kind of what you were just saying there, too. My picks were majority part of their career were 2000s or their prime.
Right, and that's how that was. And this didn't generally come up much, but there are a few players where, the grading period starts in the year 2000.
Right.
And there was, I can think of one example where there's one person on my list that had a really good 1999, but it doesn't count. Mm-hmm. But and there'll be people like, for me, like, well, but like you think of like Jeremy Burnett or Jeff Cirillo. It's like, but that was more late 90s.
Right.
Like that does not count. That's not the spirit of what this is.
So like for my example, Leroy Butler is not on my list because his final year was in 01.
Right.
It's not to say he's not obviously a Hall of Fame, but the prime was in the 90s.
It's all about the grading period.
Yes.
The grading timeline.
Exactly. So without further, I'm going to give you the honors first, Brandon, because I want you to set the bar high on this thing. So I'm really curious. Do you want to do? Well, first off, did you do backups? Did you just do starters?
I did starters, but I did an honorable mention for each spot.
Okay, sounds good.
Because I figured they're
You really went above and beyond. You are that student. All right, I like it. Though. Content.
All right.
So, without further ado, Brandon.
All right.
The quarter century, the all-time quarter century. Nobody else's teams matter. Brandon is the expert. Here we go. I'm excited to see where this goes.
All right. Well, we'll start at catcher.
Okay.
My choice was Jonathan Lucroy. 2010 to 2016 with the Brewers. Two-time All-Star. Actually finished fourth in the MVP voting in 2014. Great numbers over the course of his career with the Brewers. 779 OPS, hit 284. Biggest thing, too, I think that he gets credit for, and he should, is he was kind of at the forefront of about a decade ago when people be able to really value framing, pitch framing with catchers. He was kind of like one of the poster boys for that. And he got a lot of value from that as a result. So he was, to me, this was pretty simple. Some of these were really easy. Some of these weren't.
Yeah.
And I'll obviously get to that, but so my first team, I guess, however you would say it, would be Lucroy, and my honorable mention would be William Contreras.
Yep.
386 games, and most of that's catches. There's some DH obviously mixed in there, but 74 homers, 276 RBIs. It wasn't the William Contreras trade at the time. Sean Murphy being dealt from the A's to Atlanta, but it quickly became the William Contreras trade because in a big trade between the A's and the Braves, the best player that was acquired ended up going to the Brewers.
Right.
So, just one of those kind of all-timer moves for the Brewers.
Yep.
First base, I mean, this one's easy. Prince Fielder.
Yeah.
2005.
It's not Matt Gamble?
I wish. I was very tempted when I got about halfway through this to also put together like the least honorable mention and just like try to find the worst person for each. But then I just like, maybe that's kind of mean. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, Prince Fielder, 230 home runs, played 998 total. I think this is just regular season, so obviously there's some more postseason games in there, but hit 282, 887 OPS, which is about as high as you're going to find from anybody on this list pretty much. 3-time All-Star, third in the MVP voting twice, fourth once. Big thing that people don't always talk about with Fielder was just how, when he was with the Brewers, how he stayed on the field.
Yeah.
Played on 157 games every year from 2006 to 2011.
Man.
I mean, he was notable for not wanting to ever not be on the field. You figure out, the game now with the DH in there, that would probably have been a little bit easier.
Right.
But yeah, this is arguably one of the easiest on the list.
Right.
And my honorable mention, I want Richie Sexson.
Okay.
Played 4 years with the Brewers, 2000 to 2003 in this time frame. 133 homers, 398 RBIs in that stretch, 902 OPS, so actually a little bit better than Fielder over that stretch. But keep in mind, that's also early 2000s. That's at a time when, for one reason or another, offense in Major League Baseball was really booming. But still, I mean, he was fantastic. And, the Richie Sexson trade to Arizona really helped set the Brewers up for continued success. As much as a little kid I didn't like it at the time, it was important. Second base, I went Ricky Weeks.
Okay.
A 771 OPS. He played for a little more than a decade in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
When you factor in that he played a little bit in 2003. And then really for the first significant time in 2005. But 148 homers, 126 steals, was an all-star, 3 seasons. If we had at least 20 home runs. Biggest thing for Ricky was always just staying healthy. I mean, that was kind of this is one of those where you look at the numbers and they're good, but you always kind of wonder a little bit more of what if. I mean, he only had 2 seasons where he played at least 130 games. Like and that kind of sucks. And I remember in 2011 when he was an All-Star, he actually got hurt in the second half. I believe it was a wrist.
I think you're right.
And he never recovered from that. Like that was kind of a real blow to them because he was an absolute difference maker. And it just, he was out there, he was still playing, he was still grinding as he did, but it's just, you could tell he was just at less than, it's 100%. My honorable mention, this was honestly one of the toughest on the list because you had 4 players who I thought were all about the same in different ways. And so maybe in a little bit of an upset, the one I went with was Bryce Terang.
Okay.
I gave a lot of credit to maybe just because obviously it feels like he's kind of a bit on the ascent. I gave a lot of credit to the Gold Glove, the Platinum Glove. Like that's just something that otherwise hasn't been done. The other guys, I mean, Colton Wong had a good a good year or two. Scooter Gennett, who really didn't become that power threat until after he left Milwaukee with the Reds. Jonathan Villar, a little bit, but he was more of a shortstop. But I just
you didn't give credit to the Ray Durham era.
I did not. He had a really good 2008 though when he came at the end. But yeah, this one they were all really close. I just gave the benefit of the doubt to Bryce Terang just for the defense. I mean, even though Colton Wong was a good defender, like when you're literally voted the best defender in the National League, like it does feel like you feel like in these 3 years since he's really been on the Major League roster, like he's getting better.
Yeah,
and I don't know. To me, that was just kind of a bit of a tiebreaker for me. Third base. This one was actually not super deep.
Yeah.
Which I guess now, I mean, obviously Caleb Durber's playing well, but this just seems like this has been a thing for a while. I went to Ramos Ramirez.
I was wondering if that's who you're going to go with.
He was only with the Brewers for 3.5 years, so that kind of says this. But he hit 284, 342 on base, 815 OPS, 65 homers in 455 games. Was an All-Star in 2014. Actually finished 9th in the MVP hit in 2012, his first year in Milwaukee, which was his best year. As far as Ramos Ramirez is interesting to me because he's always kind of struck me as like that guy that was within the last decade or so was good with the Brewers, but no one ever talks about. And it's almost like I just always viewed him as 100% like the hired gun. He came from the Cubs. He came off, had a good career with the Chicago, but it was like, okay, they needed a third baseman. Prince Fielder left. They spent the money to bring him in. Like, he had a couple good years, kind of tailed off at the end, but he was getting older. He's just someone that you never hear anybody talk about. Like, you don't really ever see anybody at the ballpark wearing an Ramos Ramirez jersey or shirtsy.
Right.
Like, but he was good.
Yep.
Honorable mention, I went back and forth on this, so I almost kind of gave this a little bit of the Lifetime Achievement Award. I went with Bill Hall.
Okay.
Even though he didn't play a lot of third base, and the one year he really did was 2008, and he wasn't really that good. But this is just one of those where, and it kind of went back and forth with him and Travis Shaw. Because Travis Shaw's 2017, 2018s were good. They're really good.
No love to Casey.
He was another one I kind of thought of, but I ended up going with kind of like I said, almost like the career achievement award for Bill Hall, because he was around for a while. He had some of his best years, but it was at like shortstop and center field, and there was just other people that were better than him.
Right.
There. So that was kind of my, right or wrong, that was kind of my thought process there. Shortstop, I went Willie Adames.
Okay.
In more recent years, I mean, he played, was acquired a couple months into 2021. But overall, his offense at shortstop, great. 780 OPS, 107 home runs, had a really good season, obviously, last year in a walk year. His hit at least 20 home runs all 4 years. Defense always graded well. Like, you could just tell he was like the centerpiece of, he was kind of the sun as far as like everything else just kind of seemed like when he was there, it gravitated around him.
So was there one, I don't know if your honorable mention, but, the name that popped up to me was JJ.
That's
All-Star.
my honorable mention, yeah.
Okay, so was there one thing that you picked Willie over JJ because of that, or just?
I just thought he was a little better offensively.
Okay.
I thought they were both solid defensively. JJ Hardy was always that guy that, like, I don't think he had the best range, but everything he got to, you knew he was going to clean up. So
powerful arm.
Great arm. And he actually, after he left Milwaukee, he had a really good, like, second half of his career at Baltimore. So I think he might even play longer with Baltimore than he did with Milwaukee. So I just thought that, having a little bit more of the power at that spot. 107 home runs for Adames as a Brewer. Hardy at 75. He was more in a run-producing spot. That's not necessarily Hardy's fault. I mean, Braun and Fielder were on that team, so that wasn't his job. But I just gave that was what kind of gave me the edge for Adames over Hardy.
Okay.
Outfield, I just went 3 outfielders, and I'll explain why. Because if I went left, center, and right, like, it was kind of tough to me because there's 2 really obvious picks. Yeah. But they kind of did the same thing. And so I'm like, okay, so I just kind of simplified this. I mean, the first one, Ryan Braun. I mean, this is obvious. This is probably the first choice on this list of anybody anywhere. I mean, Ryan Braun's obviously on this team. Career 891 OPS, so just a little bit lower, or a little bit above Prince. But, I mean, 350 home runs, 216 steals, won an MVP, Rookie of the Year, 6-time All-Star. Like, say what's wrong with Ryan Braun, but he is the most impactful Brewer player of the 21st century. And
so he would be like number 1 on your top 5?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Second outfielder, Christian Yelich. I mean, this is another easy one. I mean, MVP, 3-time All-Star, 869 OPS, even, if the OPS is a little bit lower than maybe it was those first 2 years. But still, I mean, we see it now. We see even today the impact he always has. Like, when Christian Yelich is going in that lineup, everything else kind of works around him. The third outfielder, I came down to 2 people. And I think I have a way to make this work, but my third outfielder, I went Carlos Gomez.
Okay.
Gold Glover in 2013, 2-time All-Star, was 9th in the MVP in 2013. Career 267 hitter, 325 on base. Like, a guy that really, it took him a bit to figure it out. His first couple years, he was more of a platoon guy.
Yep.
But his last few years, like, his peak was really, really good.
Yep.
I mean, plus, if you want to get in the weeds, you can make the case that the Carlos Gomez trade was a significant deal for kind of setting up this modern version of the Brewers with bringing in John.
Which was the J.J. Hardy trade, right? I mean, they traded Hardy.
But I mean,
Gomez.
like that
then you meant Gomez trading. Okay,
to the Astros.
Yep. Okay.
But and my first honorable mention. But if we're allowing a spot for a designated hitter or an extra hitter, this would be the guy. Would be Jeff Jenkins.
Okay.
181. I mean, and he was the one that had a really good 1999, but that doesn't count in the grading. So. 276 hitter with the Brewers, 182 home runs, nearly 600 RBIs, made an All-Star game. Like, he was kind of one of the best players in an era where the Brewers weren't. I mean, that early to mid 2000s before the Braun and Fielder, young group arrived. Like, basically the reason to go to a Brewer game was to see Miller Park.
Yeah,
and he was kind of a stalwart there. He was kind of that bridge. So.
How much did Corey Hart come into your...
My next honorable mention is Corey Hart.
Okay, never mind.
2-time All-Star, 824 OPS career, 154 home runs, 508 RBIs. He was always kind of like if Fielder and Braun were the Batman, he was kind of the Robin.
Yeah.
Like, the joke, Corey Hart's one of my favorite players ever. I mean, he was just this 6'6" kind of caveman-looking guy that would just run balls down in right field. But
International Harvester was his walk-up song. Everybody knew that, I think.
But the thing I would always joke about with Corey Hart is Corey Hart was either on a hot streak or in a slump. There was no in between.
Yeah.
But he still carved himself out a really good career, and he would be one. He would definitely be that. And my last outfielder, I went a little around with this. Actually, it's just settled on Lorenzo Cain.
Oh, okay.
I mean, there were some other potential options, but hit 273 OPS, a little bit. I'd say 727, but he was never a big power guy. All-Star. His 2018 season was awesome. I mean, he was 7th in the MVP, won a Gold Glove, not that year, but maybe it was that year. I forget. Either way, but just a guy that had 2 different tenures. Because remember, he had come up with the team a little bit before he was involved in the Greinke trade.
Yep.
So there's a couple others up, but in the end, I just went with Kane. So.
Eventually, maybe Sal will make it for you.
Yeah, we do this in a couple of years. There could be a few more guys that are on this list. It's just that where we're at right now.
Yep.
Starters, I went with 5 starters. I didn't go with like a super deep bullpen just because.
Yeah.
But my 5 starters, honestly, this is pretty easy. First starter, Ben Sheets.
Okay.
I mean, to me, he would be probably like number 3 or 4 if I was doing like a top 5. I think I'd probably go like Braun, Fielder, Yelich, some combination in those 3, and then he would probably be next.
Okay.
Ben Sheets, I mean, he was an ace in an era where he didn't get, that, again, this team didn't really have much around him. Him and Jenkins were kind of that bridge to the Braun Fielder era. But, I mean, 278 career ERA and nearly 1,600 innings. I mean, he pitched a lot. 4-time All-Star. The last 5 years of his career, his ERA was below 382, which in that era, the balls were still flying out. So, very tough to do. I mean, and really he did it as a 2-pitch pitcher, which was hard to do. Second starter, Corbin Burns.
Okay.
Well, Cy Young, I mean, we know the story. Once he became he had some success as a reliever in 2018. 2019 didn't go his way, introduced the cutter into his repertoire and it changed his life. Won the Cy Young in 2021, 3-time All-Star, 4-time Cy Young finisher of 8th or better. And third, I put Yovani Gallardo. Kind of that bridge between that 2011 group and then 2014, 2015, the newer era, but kind of the ace for those for many years there. 3.69 ERA. I mean, was an all-star. The thing that doesn't get talked about enough with Yovani Gallardo, though, he's a pretty decent hitter.
Yeah,
won a Silver Slugger award. He's going to be in the home run derby.
Exactly. Yep.
Like, fourth pitcher, I went Freddie Peralta. I mean, we know him now. He's having arguably his best year. I think you said it earlier this week, but I would agree. It's his best year right now. 3.65 ERA, 2-time All-Star now, more than 1,000 strikeouts and 866 innings. I mean, the last few years he's been so vital.
Yeah.
As everything, the changes have happened in the rotation around him, he's just been the guy that every 5th day is taking the ball. I mean, we can get a little frustrated sometimes that he doesn't pitch as deep into games as we would like, but still, it's usually at least 5. I mean, and there's been no blow-ups, this year, and he doesn't have just very many of them. Usually when he comes out of a game after like 4 innings, it's just because he's had 100 pitches, not because he gave up 7 runs.
Right. Yep.
And the last one, Brandon Woodruff.
Yeah.
Just got back to the big leagues, but has an ERA just above 3 with 800 strikeouts and 690 innings. I mean, that's crazy. 2-time All-Star, was 5th in the Cy Young the year Corbin Burns won it. So for everybody saying right now, where's CC? Is it just because it's the half a year? It is. I mean, if there's another way to quantify that, but it was fantastic 3 or 4 months. Like, there's a reason he got MVP votes for only pitching for the Brewers from the beginning of July into October. But I mean, that's just like, as much as I want to acknowledge that, that's just tough in this.
Yeah.
And I just went 3 honorable mentions for starters, and this was pretty easy too. First one, maybe one of the more underrated starters of this 21st century, Doug Davis.
Doug Davis.
Kind of he was usually that second pitcher behind Ben Sheets, but 38 and 40, 4.11 ERA doesn't really stand out. But I mean, again, that was a much more hitter-friendly era. In 724 innings, had some good years mixed in there. Second one, personal favorite of mine, Chris Capuano.
I was wondering if you were going to say him.
Another part of the Richie Sexton trade, but 45 and 49, 4.33 ERA, almost won 20 games one year. I mean, just the textbook crafty lefty. And then the last one, and this is kind of a bit of the what if of this group, Jimmy Nelson.
Oh, wow.
I mean, his 2017 is really good until he had the shoulder injury, and it was kind of he had to kind of become the ace at the big league level. But, the record isn't super great. I mean, I don't judge pitchers generally on record too much because a lot of that is out of their control. I mean, he had a 4.12 ERA, and that's it's not his fault that maybe he didn't get the run support at times there. But he was someone that ate a lot of innings.
All right,
and then reliever, we'll finish it up here pretty quick. I just went 3 relievers because to me there were 3 kind of head and shoulders above the rest. I don't think any of these are going to be too much surprise. Number 1, Josh Hader.
Yeah.
I mean, 3-time Trevor Hoffman Award winner for the best reliever in the National League. Was actually 7th in the Cy Young in 2018. That was before he really became the closer. 4-time All-Star with the Brewers. 541 strikeouts in 316 innings. That's crazy numbers. 2.48 ERA. Second one, Devin Williams.
Yeah.
I mean, 2-time All-Star, 2-time Hoffman Award winner. The Brewers have kind of had that award on lockdown a little bit since it became a thing. Was the Rookie of the Year in 2020. Similar story, 219 earned run average, 421 strikeouts in 271 innings. And the last one, Jeremy Jeffress.
Oh, yeah.
Who pitched nearly as many innings as Hader did, which is kind of interesting because he had just a couple different tenures.
Mm-hmm.
And his numbers are always really weird because, like, Jeremy Jeffress pitched well with the Brewers and seemingly only with the Brewers. Every time he went somewhere else, it just didn't work.
Yep.
There's just a level of comfort there, but 266 career earned run average, 300 innings, 300 strikeouts essentially. Made an All-Star game, I think it was 2018, but, that's, yeah. And then, honorable mentions, we'll wrap this up. I went 4 of them because there were still some guys that warranted it, but I wasn't going to get too deep with this. Corey Knebel.
Okay.
Was an all-star, was a big part of that 2018 bullpen, more than 300 innings. John Axford.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
just for the mustache alone.
Just for the mustache alone, but his numbers were very good. I mean, he had more strikeouts than innings pitched. Obviously was the closer in that 2011 team. Trevor McGill. I gave him the bump because even though he just became the closer this year, but still he's been, for 3 years now, has been a very important piece of that. And then the last one, a guy that I don't think his time at the Brewers wasn't super long, but his numbers were very, very good. It was Francisco Cordero. Only pitched 9 innings with the Brewers, but was an all-star, 2.60 ERA, more strikeouts than innings pitched, just an important part at a time when the Brewers were kind of playing leapfrog with their closer a little bit.
I like that list. Well done, man. Well done. Now, it was my task to do the Packers side of things. So I know you're not a Packers fan, but I know you can.
I'm interested.
Yeah, you see this here. I did find a trend with some of these picks, I will say, that then you kind of during a certain era in the last 25 years, it really was how the heck did they not win more with some of these picks that are made in my quarter-century team? I think you'll understand more after go through it. But quarterback, it's easy. It's Rodgers. No offense to Favre.
A lot of the Favre stuff's in the 90s.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, that's where his MVPs are.
Right, definitely. So, and then Packers won a Super Bowl in 2010 with Rodgers as quarterback. So the quarterback is Aaron Rodgers. There should be no debate about that pick. I went with 2 running backs. I thought about going 1 running back, 3 wide receivers, but I went with 2. I kind of went a little bit more of the generic. I did not put a fullback in here. I'm
William
sorry.
Henderson erasure.
If I want to go old school, I formation, yes, William Henderson would be on here. But I went with 2 running backs. When you talk about the early 2000s, there's one player that kind of stands out as Amon Green. I had to find, this was part of it. You got to put Amon Green on this list.
He ran for 1,900 yards one year.
Yeah. It was at 2003
3 or 4, something like that. Yeah.
I mean, I still have the image of him with that 98-yard run against Denver in the final game of the year. I was actually bow hunting that night as a kid. I came in, walked in the house right when that play started. So, I mean, you talk about yards and running back. Amon Green's kind of tenure with Green Bay, I think, kind of gets forgotten for just how good he was there. And that was really one of the few bright spots in the early 2000s. Other than, hey, we're going to start off slow and then win 4 or 5 in a row in the Mike Sherman era just to get to the postseason. So the other running back I went with was Aaron Jones. Still doing it with your team over there too. But, I mean, you talk about a guy that was pretty darn consistent, and you talk about not the biggest dude running the football too. And both these guys, I think, do a really good job at catching the ball out of the backfield too. So involved in that passing game. So those were the 2 running backs I went with. If you want to go honorable mentions with that, I mean, you could throw a little Ryan Grant in there for the fine that they had when Ted Thompson traded for him in 2007. You could throw a little James Starks in there. I mean, they don't make that run in the postseason without James Starks in 2010. So, you could definitely throw, those 2 names into the mixture for some honorable mentions. So, you look confused.
No, I was just thinking something else.
Okay. Wide receivers, I mean, there's been a lot of them. There's been a lot of good ones from 2000 to 2025. So, it was Kind of tricky, but not really tricky to narrow it down to two, if that kind of makes sense. One, you got to go with the all-time leading receiver, and that's Donald Driver. I mean, that's, from 2000 to 20, and played for both Favre and Rodgers, started his career as a rookie in 99. So, I mean, you got to put him on here just because he's got over 10,000 receiving yards during kind of, the big chunk of this era. So he's on there. Then you can go with, do you go Jordy? Do you go Greg Jennings? Javon Walker, if we want to go, on. I mean, there's a boatload of receivers we could go to. I went with who I think it was probably maybe the most talented of the group, Devontae. I went with Devontae over Jordy, over Greg, over those other guys, just because when I think about like just from a pure talent standpoint, Devontae to me is the better receiver.
And the numbers were there to match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's, if I were to expand it to 3 wide receivers, honestly, it probably would be Jordy that I would put on that list. But I went with just the 2, Driver and Devontae. Tight end. So like Bill Huber did this. He covers the Packers for Sports Illustrated. He put Tucker Kraft already for the tight end.
Wow.
Yeah. I disagree with that. So to me, there was really just a couple of options. I could really go and say Donald Lee.
Yeah.
But I'm not. I'm not going to go Donald Lee. Could go Andrew Corliss. I'm not.
Go Spencer Hayden or get that combination offense-defense.
Could. You either have all I do is catch touchdowns, Bubba Franks, or Jermichael Finley, whose career was cut short because of injury. I went with Finley just because, from a pure talent standpoint, he is more talented than Bubba Frank. No offense, but Bubba Franks he made some Pro Bowls because he caught touchdowns. But if you line those 2 guys up, and I get them healthy, peak, prime, I'm going to go with Finley. I'm going to go Jermichael Finley. So, to me, those were like the only 2 realistic options from the last 25 years. No offense to Tucker. He could potentially...
Right, if you're doing who knows, if you do like a 30-year one in 5 years, he might be the guy.
Yep, exactly. So, the offensive line is, I didn't realize it until after I picked them all, is the 2014 starting offensive line. Bakhtiari at left tackle. I mean, you talk about a guy who's got some All-Pros and such. I mean, I think he still has more All-Pros than Pro Bowl selections, if that tells you anything. Yeah. Josh sitting at left guard. I mean, just you talk about the model of consistency over there. Center, I could have went with Scott Wells, but I went with Corey Linsley at the center spot. Again, incredibly solid center during his time with Green Bay. Right guard, I could have went a little bit earlier and gone like Marco Rivera. I went with TJ Lang, though. TJ Lang, a little more into 2000s and such. So I went with him at 14. And this is the one, too, that kind of surprised me with and not to criticize Bill's pick, he had Zach Tom at right tackle, which, okay, the last few years has been great. Tauscher was an honorable mention. How about Brian Balaga at right tackle? Iowa. So I went with Brian Balaga at right tackle. We can't forget about Brian Balaga and the job that he did at right tackle. I mean, so, yeah, when I wrote off, I was like, that's the 14 starting offensive line. So that kind of goes back to what I was saying, like, dang, how did they not win a lot more with some of these guys? So Brian Balaga is my right tackle. Let's do the defense now. So I went 4-3 defense. I went with a 4-3 defense. You got to go Clay Matthews for an edge. I called him edge. That's kind of what they're called now these days.
Designated pass rusher.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yep. So edge rusher. I went with Clay Matthews. You got to put Clay Matthews on there. And then I went with Aaron Campman. I just, thought about Baja Biamila. I mean, he was a sack machine, of course, but Aaron Campman to me was the guy. Better as a 4-3 defensive end than he was as a 3-4 when they switched over to that. He had to do some stand-up, rushing from a stand-up 2-point position. He's better as a 4-3. His career, I know he went to Jacksonville afterwards, but after that ACL injury, just never really kind of got back to that high level of play.
And also, Shallow having a number in the 70s for a lot deep for like a
74.
Yeah,
yep.
Like that's
74.
That'll work for me.
Yep. So, defensive tackles now. There was a lot of options when you kind of think about it. If you really want to kind of think about some of the options here, Ryan Pickett, if you want to go, like that. You can go Cullen Jenkins, right? I mean, two, I would say, pivotal players on the Super Bowl 45 team. B.J. Raji, if you want to go that route. I went with, and this one, I'm sure some fans might roll their eyes because of a recency thing, but I went with Kenny Clark, defensive tackle. For the most part of his season, he has been pretty darn solid. He has been a very solid player. I know last year, down year, I think this is a big year for him. He did have the toe injury last year that maybe affected his play, but I mean, you talk about a guy that has been here for a long time now for Green Bay, been a very solid defensive tackle in the interior. I went with Kenny Clark, and then I went with Mike Daniels, another Iowa defensive lineman. Mike Daniels, you talk about a dude who could rush the passer, was a little undersized, but that wrestling background, you could tell, really helped him out with, the bend and such, and you talk about the energy and the motor from that guy. Another defensive lineman that wore 70, 79. So I went with Mike Daniels on there. So that's kind of my front is Clay, Aaron Campman, Kenny Clark, and Mike Daniels.
Good luck defense or offensive line on a passing down.
Yeah, that's kind of where it was at, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I will say the guy that I really thought about putting in there was Ryan Pickett because of stopping the run. And this was a guy that played 4-3 and 3-4 style of defenses. If I had to pick my next one, it probably would be Ryan Pickett. A very under-the-radar, undervalued signing by Ted Thompson when they brought him aboard from the Rams. So another defensive lineman at wore 79. He was 79. Mike Daniels was 76. My bad.
Yeah, there you go.
Ryan Pickett was 79. Mike Daniels was 76. So, linebackers. So, I look at this one. I did not have Hardy Nickerson, in case you were the great. And I did not have, obviously, Joe Johnson on the defensive line.
I was actually wondering.
Free agent spending. You kind of look at this group and maybe not a whole lot. I think you got to put A.J. Hawk on there, right? I mean, you got to put A.J. Hawk on there. I know he was, and I think the question that everybody, or the scenario that everybody kind of throws out there is like, okay, if he wasn't a top 5 pick, does he have a good season then after that? Sure.
Yeah. Do people view him differently if he is the 20th pick?
Mm-hmm.
Or was he the 6th?
Fifth.
Okay, fifth, whatever it was, yeah.
Yep. So I mean, you got to throw. He did have a couple really good years. I mean, that 2010 year again, right? I mean, he got himself a new contract because that he was very good that year. So I went with A.J. Hawk. My other linebacker I went with 03 to 2010. He got some AP votes actually too. Defensive Rookie of the Year votes his rookie year. Nick Barnett. So his career essentially ended because of injury after a few games in 2010. Went to a couple of years in Buffalo and such. But I mean, he was kind of the main linebacker for those early 2000 teams for Green Bay. So I went with Nick Barnett on there. And then the other linebacker, because I have 3 of them, this one kind of gets a little interesting. Where do you go? He didn't have a long career, but what he did in 2010, the level of play that he had, he spent 4 or 5 years in Green Bay. I went with Desmond Bishop. Long-time special teams guy for Green Bay. That's kind of where he made his mark. But then when Nick Barnett got hurt in 2010, Desmond Bishop got his chance. And the dude was awesome. I mean, he was awesome after that, and really took advantage of it. I still remember the interception in 2010 in Favre's final game at Lambeau. I think, he threw it right to Desmond Bishop, in the second half there. So I think
Favre
he was under pressure. So Desmond Bishop, to me, I thought was a very good player for Green Bay. And his career essentially got cut short because he had that hamstring injury. I think the hamstring tore off his bone, and he missed the whole, I think, 2012 season because it happened in preseason.
And he just wasn't the same after that.
Yeah, I mean, he spent a little bit with Minnesota and San Francisco.
It was unfortunately for him, it was kind of done after that.
Mm-hmm. So, I went Desmond Bishop over the likes of guys like Blake Martinez and those guys. So just because I thought Desmond Bishop actually was a difference maker during Green Bay. So the corners, there's been some good ones. I mean, you can go Al Harris, which was a really good corner. You could go Sam Shields, who was a really good corner. I guess we could say Jair. He was a really good corner too. And this is one, too, where I could have, maybe taken away a linebacker and went with 3 corners because of the nickel. But I just kept it generic with 2 corners with this. Charles Woodson, and Tramon Williams. Those are my 2 top corners. If I had to add a third, that's where it gets interesting. Do I go Sam Shields and then really go with the 2010 team? Because those would be your 3 corners. Al Harris or Jair Alexander. Which one would I go there? That'd be a tough one.
That would.
I might go Al Harris and then slide Charles into the slot. To a slot corner. Just because Al Harris, I think, is kind of a little underrated for what he did in Green Bay. I probably would go Al Harris, to be honest with you. But Jair's really good, though, too. He did. I don't know. My top 2, though, are Tramon and Charles Woodson. I think Charles Woodson, outside of Aaron Rodgers, was probably the best Packer in the last 25 years, if we were to rank him that way. And then Tramon Williams, I mean, just 2 tenures with Green Bay. Actually, 3, if you count that. Last one, I think it was 2020. It was that weird rule. They brought him back in the postseason. Like, they signed him the week of the Tampa Bay game, I think it was. But they didn't activate him to the roster. So, I got those 2 for my corners. Safeties, and again, another guy whose career ended short because of injury, Nick Collins. I think, you hear everybody say he was on the path to becoming a potential future Hall of Famer. Obviously, his pick 6 in the Super Bowl, but Nick Collins was a stud when he played there. My other safety, this is the one I kept going back and forth on. And I think I'm gonna kind of follow your path on this one, and go with a guy that spent a little bit more time in Green Bay. I'll go Morgan Burnett for my other safety. I'll tell you, the other guy I had on here was Xavier McKinney, just because he was good.
Yeah, last year was one year, but it was a great first year.
It was a fantastic year. So I literally have both Xavier McKinney and Morgan Burnett here. Xavier McKinney, I think, the year that he had was fantastic. Morgan Burnett is on here because of the longevity that he had in Green Bay. So I'm still going back and forth on this one. Could go Charlie Pepper and just call it good and, give it a day.
I was a little disappointed there was no Lindsey Pipkins in there.
He was a corner.
I mean, that's what I mean.
Oh, okay.
Or Ladarius Gunter.
36. There's a 36.
The number 1 corner on that 2016 team.
It was. No Ahmad Carroll either, or Demarius Randall, or Quentin Rollins. Kicker is the easiest thing in the world. It's Mason Crosby. Pretty much the only kicker in the last 25 years for Green Bay.
Obviously, you had Longwell earlier in the 2000s, but yeah, I mean, Crosby cover is such a long period of time. Did it so well.
Yep. So the punter one's interesting. Wasn't really the greatest ones out there. You have John Ryan. Then went to Seattle.
I was going to say, does he get points off just because he went to Seattle and threw a pass?
I kind of went a little longevity, and I was actually looking up punting stats the other day, and like inside the 20s, the nets, and all that. Tim Mastay I went with at punter. There wasn't a whole lot of options. I can't give it to Daniel Whalen yet. No. I can't. But I went with Tim Mastay at the punting position. A lot of it was just based off longevity and such.
If you're a punter for a while, usually there's something to that.
Long snapper was between 2. Good old Rob Davis or Brett Good. I went with Brett Good on mine for long snapper. So, yes, I did do long snapper on my list as well. Now, it'd be fairly easy. Like, if we did coaches or managers, yours would be Craig Counsell, I would imagine, for the last 25 years.
Yeah, I think so.
I think mine would have to be Mike McCarthy, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep. I'd have to be Mike McCarthy. So there you have it.
Yeah.
Quarter century lists for both Brandon. Brandon did the Brewers. I did the Packers.